Well, JJ, we're live on YouTube.
And you've started us right off with the music.
I
usually
did.
wait for the music to end.
Whoa, it's loud.
Yeah.
I usually have the intro graphic, and that file is missing from my computer.
It's disappeared.
So I don't know where it went. As usual, we kick off talking about technical difficulties.
Yes. But we are so happy to see you. A warm welcome. I'm JJ. I am a life coach, and I eat mostly meat.
I'm Eric. I'm a novelist, or so I say. I haven't been noveling a lot recently.
No.
Just because of the move and actually the anticipation to the move. Although I was working a little bit on book 9 just 2 days ago. But I've got to get back in the flow. But yeah, I'm a novelist. I eat pretty much just carnivore right now.
Yeah, right now.
When we say mostly meat, sometimes a little salad slips in every once in a while, but not much salad slips of late for me. I've been going strong.
You have been going strong. Now I do eat mostly meat. I've said before that when I'm out, especially with my friend, sometimes we are at a place that has no meat options, and then I will have a salad. Now, we were at Buona Beef this week, which I can get beef, period. I can do that. But I did stray a little this week, and I had their chicken protein bowl because I wanted to up my fat, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But so I thought the avocado would help with that. And, I didn't actually test my ketones or do anything like that afterward. But what I did notice was the very next day, I woke up with a huge pimple on my cheek.
From an avocado?
So I don't know if it was the avocados. There were a lot of avocados. I don't know if it was the avocado or just seed oils. What did they cook that in?
Yeah.
I mean, it was cooked in some sort of a sauce, sort of like I think it might have had balsamic. I don't know what it was. It was like olive oil or something, but I do know that I woke up the next day and my skin paid for it, which fascinates me that now sometimes if I go certain things off plan, meaning not meat, I'll wake up the very next day with a blemish. It's like, oh, okay, interesting. Yeah. It's that fast.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen how fast various toxins can affect us.
Yeah.
So
yeah. The meal was good.
Not
And I have to give them props because I ordered double avocado. But I've never had this dish before. And so they brought me my entree and I started eating it and got more than halfway through. And the woman comes along and says, "We gave you the wrong entree." And I thought the avocado was a little skimpy on that. But I've never had it. So what does double avocado mean? So she sets down a whole new plate for me. So I kind of had a lot of avocado.
Well, that can be dangerous if you're not used to eating avocado.
Yeah.
Just by itself.
Well, I didn't have any other dangers, any other situations, but I did get that blemish.
I do remember avocados very fondly for how green and vibrant they made our toxic smoothies back in the day.
Yeah. But I was pleased. Point being, I thought their service was really nice that they brought me out. I didn't complain. They just brought me another entree. So
We've already done this point. Kind of, but
right. That's what we have been doing.
Oh, that's the point we're doing. We have a list, and I started doing one of the points without realizing I was doing it.
Yes, yeah. So
I need to take this sweater off.
Okay.
And that means I got to take my ears
Okay.
off and move out of frame.
Okay.
Because I'm too hot.
Yeah, I had a jacket on, but I started off. If you are watching us live, let me see. Is anyone watching? We've got 2 thumbs up. Thank you so very much. If you're watching us live or on recording, we love to hear where you're from. We had someone from Russia last time
Yeah.
on our last live, which was incredible to me. So we'd love to hear from where you're from, and let us know your carnivore status. How long have you been carnivore? Are you animal based? Are you carnivore curious? Are you ketovore? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear it. Annette is on. Annette has made it to the live. I think you've been gone the last couple because we do these at random times. We're sorry about that. Someday we'll get our act together. Maybe.
Happy birthday month, Annette.
Birthday month, yes. Hey, her birthday month is our anniversary for Carnivore.
It's also our anniversary as a couple.
That's true. That is true.
And you were just telling me it's been 30 years.
Yes,
we've been together in some form.
We started dating 30 years ago.
And we've known each other probably 35 then, maybe more.
More.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Definitely more.
Since you're only 29.
I know. It's just amazing how that works.
We have a new email address. So forget the old one. Our new email address is info@jjanderic.com. I'm going to put it up here.
Excellent.
We have our own domain name.
We do, but we have no website. So if you go to jjanderic.com, you're going to see nothing.
Yeah, it'll be a huge disappointment for you and a missed opportunity for us.
Trudy is here. Happy Friday, says Trudy. Happy Friday to you. I'm going to see a play tonight, a youth theater play. I think it's youth. But anyway, local theater.
I'm not.
No, he never goes.
I go to your plays.
Yes, that is true.
But
that is true.
Not with kids I don't know. Well, not with directors I don't know. All of them have kids I don't know.
You don't know the directors of that play.
Right.
You know the directors that I'm going to the show with.
So you have been watching a lot of Dr. Boz recently.
Yes, I have.
What's been going on with that?
So about a week ago, I took off my continuous glucose monitor because I decided it was time to just see what was happening. So I put on my CGM. I go through TicTonial. I'm not affiliated with them, but that's who I go through is TicTonial. And my thought was that I'd been studying Dr. Boz's work for some months now and read her book one of her books, Keto Continuum, and very interested in the idea of being in higher ketosis. And one of the reasons is because of my blood sugar levels. So while I've been on carnivore, I know this happens to some people, my blood sugar, my hemoglobin A1C, and my fasting insulin as well have risen. Yeah. So they started low. When I was metabolically unhealthy, they were not bad. Like those weren't my issues.
So that doesn't compute at all.
So since I have been ketovore, mostly meat, they've gone up. My blood sugar, my fasting insulin, and my A1C. So this is just something that's been in the back of my mind and bothered me. And I've tried adding more fat and less fat and more protein and less protein and done a few things like that. Nothing too scientific, like not doing a bunch of measuring or anything, but I've just toyed with it. And Dr. Boz is a big proponent of fasting, which I do some fasting. And so, I've just been following her. So I thought, all right, we've moved into our house. Life is calming down. I'm going to put in my CGM and I'm going to start her program sort of more in earnest. And this is her Keto Continuum program, and just see if I can lower the blood sugar and up the ketones because they're correlated. And what happened in that 2 weeks of my continuous glucose monitor was we were eating out all the time, and it did not work. It did not align with trying her program. But what I saw was that my blood glucose continues to be an average of about 100. And is at triple digits much of the day. and my dawn effect is triple digits. Like I'm at triple digits most of the
What,
day.
like 300-400?
No, it's around 100. So I mean, it's not awful. Like it's not terrible. And my rises are low. You know, I'm eating mostly meat, so I don't have a huge rise or anything in my blood sugar. No big spikes, nothing like that. That is my average. So it's not that it's bad, but maintaining that means that my blood sugar, I'm considered pre-diabetic with my A1C and stuff, and I don't like that.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense either.
I don't like it. So that's sort of the space where I'm at. And yes, the CGM proved that I still am staying at about 100.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have I've dived back into some more Dr. Boz in the last week or so since I've taken the CGM off, because I know you have changed your diet a little, or tightened your diet a little bit. So it might actually be the time when I can start implementing that. And I do have a Keto Mojo, so I can check my morning sugar, I can check morning sugars.
Well, many times on our videos, you've confessed to eating the occasional salad.
I know. Yeah.
And
I
I
just
think-
had avocado.
Yeah, you just talked about having avocado. There's going to be people watching going,
Duh. Duh.
I like that. Duh. It's very cartoony.
Yes, I do understand. I totally get that. So yeah. So that's where I am. I'm steeped in that. And I have changed things for me a little bit in that I have gone back to a shorter eating window the last several days. So I'm generally opening my eating window around 11 or 12, and we close it by about 4. So just again, trying to give my body some time to get that blood sugar a little bit lower. But this is new.
So the blood sugar thing's bothering you.
Yeah, it does bother me. I know we have people who say, like doctors, Dr. Barry, who says it's physiological, it's not pathological. If you don't have the high spikes, you're fine. But I really don't like the idea of being classified as pre-diabetic, and I don't quite understand what it's doing to my body. And I know there are a bunch of theories out there. We might get some in the comments. I've probably heard them. But yeah, I just want to see if I can get it to move.
Such as insulin suppression.
Insulin suppression is one of those theories, yeah.
So what bothers me, which I've also reported on our channel a lot, is the resistance my triglycerides have had or mounted to this diet. Now, we've been doing carnivore for 2 years with occasional forays away, but then back. And it's recently, the past, 6 months, I've gotten it down into the 115, 118. Now, typically you see people with carnivore, their trigs are like 70 or 65. And then their HDL goes way up into the 70s. My HDL finally made it into the mid 40s this last time.
Yeah.
And so I've been very perplexed and confused and frustrated by this, but more recently have kind of come around to the idea that my metabolism was just pretty wrecked and it's taking this much time. And I wasn't helped by being mostly meat. And so it's really motivated me to be harder core carnivore. And we're going to see if I continue to heal. But I will say, I frequently get the NMR profile where you look at the particle sizes. It is always an absolute catastrophe. It's a train wreck. It's a disaster. It's every possible disaster you could imagine at one time, plus a dumpster fire. Even being low carb. I have the smallest, meanest particles. I have the fewest big, buoyant, happy ones. But this last time, I finally claimed the coveted pattern A.
Ooh.
And I've had this tested over the past decade, who knows how many times. And I've always been pattern B, pattern B, pattern B, pattern B. It's basically just every pattern B is just another nail in my vascular coffin. I wish I would have gotten that out smooth because it would have sounded so good.
That would have been good. Go ahead, take two.
Just another nail in my cardiovascular coffin. And so, yeah, I've been excited to see the trigs come down. I was excited to see the pattern A finally appear. So I guess the point of it is, as many people have said, sometimes healing takes more time than it seems like it should.
Which may be my case too. I don't know. Yeah.
And I am so impatient. And this is one of the paradoxes of me is I'm a perfectionist who gives up on perfection and therefore it can't be achieved. But when I'm doing the right diet and I'm not getting the results instantly, I feel like it's a moral failing.
Moral failing.
Yeah. And that's not really rational. That's just some sort of programmed puritanical view that I have inside my head. That has been my constant battle since I was probably 10.
Well, the fact, I'm sure that we have some viewers who have that failure/moral failure pattern of thinking sometimes. And that is one of the things I do like about Bella with the Steak and Butter Gang is that they really, I think, are trying to shift that paradigm into it's not a moral failure, and others are too, but it's that your body is starved for nutrition, or there's some other element there that your body is triggering it, and it's not that you're a moral failure. But I think that's a good paradigm shift.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm actually encouraged because I feel like things are moving in the right direction.
Yeah. Now it's interesting though, because people would look at you and not be like, oh my gosh, he's got to be a cardiovascular mess. Clearly you're a lean mass hyper responder.
But I'm not yet. I don't qualify for LMHR because trigs and HDL haven't responded. My HDL happily complied with that phenotype. I don't even know what it is.
Your LDL?
My LDL, I mean, is way up high. Although I don't think it's as high. I think when I really started getting deep into carnivore, it really skyrocketed and then kind of settled.
Yeah.
But triglycerides were absolutely absurdly high early on in carnivore, and then have very slowly started to drift down. So we shall see. Maybe I've got a lot more metabolic healing to do, and I am 6 foot exactly and 174 pounds.
Oh, nice.
So I don't have a lot of weight to lose. So it's just gotta be healing.
Yeah.
Let's
go to comments.
See who's here today.
In.
We've already talked to Annette.
So we're done talking to you, Annette.
No, well, I'm sure we'll talk to Annette again. Sharon, good morning to you.
Good morning, Sharon.
Deborah, good morning in Vancouver, Washington, which is nowhere near Vancouver, Canada. I now know from you. Annette says, I wear a CGM from TicTonial as well. And I'm making changes, also training for life. So I wanted to know the data. I don't know anything about TicTonial. What's the deal with that?
It's just one of those it's like how you get your CGM from Levels type thing.
Yeah.
It's that type of thing.
Okay.
And it has its app that comes with it. And I've been happy with it.
Trudy says inflammation and or infection will keep your levels high.
Yeah. I don't, and I have to say that my inflammation is always over a 1. Like it's what is that? HSCRP is always over. Like if I get a reading in the 1s, that's great. So now that said, I do have, I want to point out here, I have a calcium score of 0 at this point. So the testing that I've had does not point to heart issues, but I seem to always have sort of a very low level, well, not very, a low level of inflammation. Don't know why. Don't know why.
Steak Man, which is our friend Alan.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. Salad is toxic.
Look at the greens, live another day. Salad is toxic, join the parade. Make a sweet escape, leave the greens at bay. Salad is toxic.
All right, that's enough. I was having a moral failure in the grocery store. I was judging people's intelligence by what was, why are you looking at me? By what was in their shopping cart. Salad is toxic. I do not judge people's intelligence by what's in their shopping cart. I measure their education in real nutrition, which is also a proxy for they've been brainwashed into thinking that shopping cart is full of good stuff.
Yes, but that's newer in the last couple.
I'm trying to put a good face on it.
Yes. No, actually though, that has been a big shift for you.
Yeah.
Is to be able to have, yeah. That is a big shift for you.
Well, I was raised by individuals who saw weight problems as a moral failing in themselves. So it wasn't that they were blaming the rest of the world. Oh, they did. Don't get me wrong. But they blamed themselves just as loudly as they blamed anybody else for their ill health. And what did they do? My dad was a devoted reader of the Harvard Health newsletter and got very deep into all of the low-fat dieting. And they did the Pritikin diet, which I believe was very low-fat, kind of plant-based. I don't really know what all was in it. My mother reported as being a pretty terrible food. She didn't like the food, but they didn't stay on it.
I'll never forget when they came back from that camp and we had jicama. They made us jicama.
Did they?
Oh, yes. And it's the first time we had jicama and we were not big fans.
Must have been the last time
of
too.
It. But I do remember your parents being on keto for half a second. And the thing I remember is out of everything that they did, your mom thrived on keto.
Of course she did. You know why? Because it was the closest she'd ever gotten to a proper human diet.
Yeah.
She couldn't stay with it because she didn't actually, I don't think, truly understand the premise of it. And she could not do without ice cream.
Well, she couldn't. But
she would not.
No. But also, I mean, your dad certainly did drive that bus.
Yeah,
and so once he thought keto was out, it was going to be out.
My dad was like the epitome of the roller coaster dieter. And it was always, he'd get to a certain point where he was mad at himself, so mad that he was going to punish himself for all of his sins. And then he would get relatively thin. And then he would have a breaking point. And then it would just all come back on through ice cream and stuff. And who else followed that pattern?
Yeah.
Can't think of anybody who might have just picked that up subconsciously and just done that for their whole lives too.
Well, that's why this is our anniversary month. As I said, we've been doing carnivore 2 years this month. And you, before that, were at your heaviest weight. Shortly before carnivore.
Yeah, that's right.
Which was somewhere over 200 pounds.
Yeah.
And I was actually, this is going to sound twisted, so stay with me. I was actually glad you were over 200 pounds, that you had for the last few years, I feel like we have been working on mindset prior to carnivore.
Yeah.
So that you were not in that pattern of roller coaster and punishing yourself as much. And I feel like that was a big part since about 2020 of at least what I was consciously working on helping you do was breaking that pattern.
Yeah.
So I'm thrilled with that.
Yeah.
And I know it still creeps in, but
Yeah, it's reflexive. I don't even think I'm thinking it when I'm thinking it.
But I saw you so many times just get so much self-hatred and then punish yourself with something that was unsustainable. And now we really know why. And also injure yourself with exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Hello, Natalie. Good morning, Elva. I don't know why I said Ella. Good morning, Pam. I have to put this on the screen. Alan says, "You guys are awesome and funny. Love the song." That's what I'm here for. That's the only thing I need is praise. I'm like a puppy.
I love the songs that you're doing right now.
Oh, yeah.
So many of you who are probably tuned in to us on a live know this, but Eric, I almost said our dog's name. Sometimes that happens. Our dog's name is Arrow. And little did we know that I didn't realize Arrow and Eric were so close.
Doesn't sound that similar to me.
So Eric has been doing some songwriting with AI, with artificial intelligence. And so you never know when you're going to get a video that has a little Eric nugget in it.
Yeah, it's always at the end and might never tell you in advance.
No, you've just got to.
And that's why Annette is saying, how come I don't have theme music, Eric? Suno AI, you can write your own lyrics and it'll make you a song. It'll do it today. Sharon says, any tips for getting my poos solid again?
Okay. So we are not experts. I can only reflect back what I've heard the experts say. So first of all, my question is, Sharon, I don't know how long you have been on carnivore. I know Eric had an adaptation period. And how long did your adaptation of involuntary cleanses last?
Involuntary cleanses lasted probably a month or so for me.
So it was a while for him. And then what the experts say is that it might be related to fat content. You might have to toy with your fat. You might be taking too much fat in at a time. If you're still in the adaptation phase, your body might just be getting used to the fat as well, where you'll be able to raise it eventually. And if it's not adaptation, if it's not fat related, then the experts say you might want to just get checked out by a doctor and see if there's any root cause to that. But I know there's also like healing. If this is a new thing, or whether you've had issues with IBS before, this might be also a part of the healing.
Yeah, the gut flora has to die off and reestablish for carnivore. Yeah. And that can cause some definite side effects.
Oh, another thing might be too many electrolytes. Which electrolyte is it?
Absolutely. Too much magnesium will do
magnesium.
That for sure.
So check your fat, check your magnesium. It could be adaptation if you're newer. And that's all we've got for you to, and again, we're just echoing back what we've heard.
Yeah, and there's some people here in the chat with good ideas here.
Excellent.
Steak Man, I lost 105 pounds doing low fat, high fiber, counting calories and lots of exercise. It was tough to keep it off, but I became an elite marathon runner because of it.
Wow.
That's great if you can be that disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
I got up to a half marathon once. And the day after, I was more sore than I had ever been by so far. It was unbelievable. But in fairness, right in the middle of training for it, I had to go in for a catheterization and have a heart arrhythmia fixed. But then when they were done, I was like, should I not do this half marathon? He's like, no, you can run it. So I did. Sharon says I've been on carnivore for 2 months. Yeah, that's getting on the kind of the outside of the adaptation. This is right. Artificial sweeteners and caffeine can cause loose stools. So
yes,
you don't want to hear this if you love caffeine the way I love caffeine. You want to go la 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 la, but it that could be a factor as well.
Yes.
These things can take time.
Yeah. And again, it might not be something that you have to do permanently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to look at some other comments that have come in on our videos. And that is here. This was on our video about lamb. If you've seen our video on lamb, make sure to give us a thumbs up. Oh, she's commenting on, presumably I don't know if Kefir Heels is he or she. Hilarious song at the end. I agree with the taste of lamb. Not a fan of specifically that cut. We had chops. Much prefer lamb rack. Cooked Michaela Peterson way, 20 minutes per side in air fryer, just salt, delicious, melt in your mouth good, definitely doesn't taste like hoof juice, but I do know that taste, hate it. What is she talking about hoof juice?
Well,
what could that possibly be?
hoof juice.
Wait, hold on. What's hoof juice? That's not it.
hoof juice.
Where's hoof juice?
Hoof juice.
There it is.
Can't take the abuse. I've been trying to get it down, but it tastes like the ground. Hoof juice. Oh, it's no use. Lamb of every style, it was nothing but vile. It's the truth. Oh, I can't stand that hoof juice.
That's hoof juice is what lamb tastes like.
And it comes from, I think, the dog treats that are hooves.
Yeah. We'll get to that here in a minute.
Oh, okay.
The song is awesome. The only lamb I can eat are the little lollipop chops, and broil it with salt. Very fatty and delicious, but don't buy it often because it's expensive. You need a lot to fill you up. So what I heard in a lot of the comments to this video was our chops were way too lean.
Yeah. Which I kind of wondered about because I've heard how fatty it is, and that didn't seem to have that much fat. But what do I know?
The best tasting lamb I've had lately is grass-fed lamb from the meat counter at Whole Foods. Its American lamb is way better than the lamb from Costco. It's expensive, but worth a try before you rule out lamb. Definitely not hoof juice. So apparently the Australian lambs don't taste as good to Americans. I don't know. But we don't have a Whole Foods anywhere near us.
No.
It's a long drive to the nearest one. Well, this is from Alan himself. Lamb is an acquired taste. Lamb loves smoke and garlic. I began my lamb journey with salt, pepper, garlic, and smoke. Now just salt on the air fryer. Must eat it medium rare on the rare side. Your chops were too lean. Find a butcher and tell him not to trim the fat. I ate 2 entire lambs head to tail in September. In September? That's just 1 month, and it's a short month. I cannot understand a person who would eat salad but not lamb.
Well, I've got to tell you too, in that video, I said that I would be eating the leftovers because clearly Eric wouldn't be. And your hoof juice kind of poisoned my mind because even though in the video I'm like, it tastes like a cut of beef to me, it's not really that big. But now I've got hoof juice in my head. So the thought of eating the leftovers, I just couldn't.
Oh, no.
I couldn't do it. Yeah. So Arrow will be getting
the hoof juice.
the hoof juice. He'll love it.
Courtney says at Costco, the vacuum sealed rack of lamb is way better, and you can pick out one with a good amount of fat on it. I saw those, but it seemed like such a huge commitment that the pre-cut up ones looked safer, but that was a mistake. And cut them into lollipops, air fry, and they're so good. And I tried the ones you guys got for this video several years ago and did not enjoy one bit.
All right.
So that's good information. Joe Mayer Matheson, I love lamb loin chops. I salt them generously and fry them in the air fryer until the fat is crispy delish. I'm hearing a lot of air fryer here. Loin chops should have more fat on them. That's where your flavor comes from here in Australia. I wouldn't buy loin chops if they had less than a finger width of fat right down one
Oh,
side.
wow. Yeah, this was not even anywhere close to
No.
that.
And it makes me wonder, where did the fat go? The butchers just threw it away.
Yeah.
Can't handle the musky, gamey taste. It tastes so strong. My girlfriend, on the other hand, says she can't really taste it. It must be some genetic
Thing.
quirk.
Yeah.
Maybe. Oh, thing, yeah. Ever play with those white stripes with the certain chemicals on them in biology class, where about half of the class can taste it and the others taste nothing?
Yeah.
And I did this test in freshman year biology class, and it was so vile, I had to ask the teacher to go out into the hallway to what we called the bubbler, which other people call a drinking fountain,
Here in Wisconsin.
to like get water on my tongue to get the flavor out of my mouth, because it was absolutely horrific. And Mr. Bixer was like, "Nah, you don't need to do that." Nah. And I was like, "No, I'm going to puke." And so he let me go out there and I rinsed my mouth out. Because back then, no one ever once considered carrying a water bottle wherever they went.
No.
We just died of thirst when we were kids back then.
Well, I've said this before. Here's my avian theory. Can I interrupt, or should we finish the
Let's
lamb
finish this.
before I do my avian?
Oh dear, my dog has a cow hoof. I know exactly what you're smelling. That song. That's right. That's the stuff. Let me see. I'm going the wrong direction here. Oh, this was the Chuck Choast chili that we did a short on. Wanting beanless chili recipe, the shredded meat chili. So use the chuck roast.
Yes, and here's another case where someone's going to chastise me because I have inflammation and high blood sugar, and here I am eating chili.
Well, it was real chili, so there's no beans in it.
Yes, that's correct.
But there was
Nightshade City. I mean, it was chuck roast, and again, I hear myself, everyone. I hear myself. Once a year, I usually make some form of chili. And this is chuck roast with beef broth, a can of tomatoes, a tablespoon of tomato paste. So nightshades. We've got nightshades in it. Then a whole host of seasonings, which are chili related. And again, mostly nightshade related. And then top it off with a little bit of cocoa powder.
It was absolutely delicious.
And you were skeptical. You're always skeptical. The word chili makes you, or taco, chili or taco. You're like, I hate that. And I'm like, no, you don't. You hate you've got some idea in your head that you hate, but
yeah. But it was amazing.
So yeah, it was delicious. And
I had to stop myself from eating it so that you could have leftovers at least once, because I was going to eat all of it.
Oh my gosh. And I had leftovers yesterday with some eggs on it.
Plus, delicious. I don't want nasty, toxic tomatoes. So after 2 years of beef and eggs, I went the Lion Diet way, beef only. I'm loving it. All my cravings have gone away, feeling even better than before. I no longer get sick. You know, like how every year at Christmas time, the cold and the flu would take over my body for weeks. Not anymore. The last 2 years have not gotten sick at all. That is awesome. This was on our video about how do you talk to people in real life about carnivore. And YO said, I'd add a few of Kelly Hogan's videos to your list. She's so engaging and helpful and seriously carnivore, but sympathetic to struggling people. And when I realized we hadn't mentioned Kelly, I almost removed my YouTube card. I didn't, obviously. But yeah, we were ashamed of ourselves for missing Kelly. Lily says, I love your house. Please do a tour. That will not happen soon. Sharon says, the laugh is hilarious. Thank you for your videos. If you believe that JJ's laugh is awesome, I want to see likes on this video go up. because occasionally, maybe once a month, we get somebody who just has to leave a comment that they hate JJ's laugh. And I do not understand why they bothered even commenting. If you don't like JJ's laugh, you hate puppies and all things that are good. And I don't have any time for you at all. Let's see. Newcomers just want information. Ken Berry, Anthony Chafee, Elizabeth Bright. I wouldn't worry about humor. This is in response to something I said that about Elizabeth Bright specifically, because she's very serious. But I don't disagree totally. It's just that if you're talking to someone in real life, you're going to get the sense of their vibe and know kind of which person to steer them to based upon their personality. So yeah, for someone who's maybe very analytical and not given to a sense of humor, that might be the right choice. But I think for a lot of people who they want to build trust and rapport and like the person they're listening to, you have to think about that layer as well, because you want them to be successful. You want them to get into it and not be put off by the personality. That was my only point. MP had recommended nutritionist Mary Ruddick and Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride that apparently promote this GAPS protocol, which you had heard of. I have not. They strongly recommend keto carnivore approach for very ill people, but once they are healed, recommended reintroducing whole foods. This approach might appeal to those who can't or don't want to do keto or carnivore. So that actually makes a lot of sense. If you have someone who's like, well, I don't know if I want to do that for the long term.
Yeah, definitely.
This was a funny question on an older video of ours. I try not to use toothpaste because it's got xylitol. And will that cause an insulin rise? I just use my toothbrush, but would prefer toothpaste. Just can't find one that doesn't have a sweet taste over several years. And the answer to this question is, we use one with xylitol, stevia in it.
I also used, which
I don't know what just happened.
I'm not sure. Can you get the Redmonds toothpaste without xylitol? You might be able to. I used that for a long time, loved it. Yet I think it contributed to our drains getting clogged because I think that mud, that clay, eventually sort of solidifies in our pipes.
Well, I
around
didn't
the
use
edges.
that.
No, you didn't. And mine, I did use the flavored, but they might have an option that does not have.
I had no idea they had a
xylitol.
toothpaste.
It's a tooth. Well, they do have a toothpaste as well. I didn't like that as well, but they have a tooth powder.
Oh, okay.
And that's where I suspected.
I mean, you could just get ash out of the fireplace and just use that.
Good. Yeah. I mean, it really is about more about the brushing than the stuff you're using, but I've not gone that hardcore and given up any minty flavoring yet.
Natalie says, in venison, it's the fat that carries the gamey flavor.
Oh.
I know we had some deer steak, little tiny steak things once, and I eat deer jerky all the time, but it's got all kinds of seasonings in it, so I don't taste the deer, really.
We have some in the freezer, too, still from that batch you bought.
That might be pretty bad by now.
It was lean.
But we are likely to be getting some venison from a local hunter this year, so that's interesting to know. I'm worried now. I'm worried that I'm going to have to gag.
Well, it is likely to taste different from the panda massaged not Hawaiian. Because we had the Hawaiian.
Yeah, the Hawaiian deer.
Hawaiian deer when we had it.
But one of the things that was mentioned was using a mint sauce on lamb. And to me, that just was a complete non-starter. Mint is a dessert flavor, not something that would go with savor. I would never even once consider tasting it. Let's see. Now, what is a shoulder chop? Well,
yeah. Hold on. Can you chop it up a little higher?
It's just a different part of the lamb. My chili pepper. Love listening to both of you. Keep it up. We have people talking to each other, which I like to see, especially when they're related.
I'll give you can I give my Evian?
Yeah, go ahead.
Get my
If
Evian
your-
soap
Your
box
Evian
out.
soap.
Which I don't actually have anything against Evian, but it was the first bottled water that I remember people being like, because all the rich kids would be carrying their Evian bottles back then. And I feel like that the bottled water industry is what introduced the idea that we need to be extremely hydrated and carry water with us at all times, which led in my theory of the world. I know I've got it too. It's ridiculous. So you gotta be hydrated. You gotta have a drink with you at all times. And at first it was water. And then I think it morphed into Starbucks, basically, because Starbucks came on the scene nationwide, within a decade of that. And then everyone was drinking their sweetened coffee drinks and leading us into part of the situation we're in now, which is that we have to have constant entertainment happening for our taste buds and drinking our calories and eating snacks all the time. So I think it was just part of the progress, and it started so innocently with just being hydrated with water. Do you remember when we were in Europe and there were no cup holders in their cars?
Yeah.
And this was a while ago, like 15 years ago. And it was like, what? People didn't, and you didn't just go get something to go. There weren't just grab a snack and go in your car. It was very, very different.
Remington says your chili sounds delicious, JJ. But Annette has advice. Use KC tomato soup base. I don't know what that
Keto
is.
chow.
Oh, keto chow.
Yes.
Gives the flavor you want without using the actual can. Oh, interesting. She says, I love JJ's laugh. Already liked the video. So, well, I'll take this comment as a second thumbs up. Pam says, love JJ's laugh. This is the correct answer. Christina says, love your laugh, JJ. It makes me smile. Steakman says, JJ's laugh is a perfect trademark. Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon each had a particular laugh. Just keep laughing.
I love that. They did. Yes.
Yeah, they did. I can't imitate either.
No.
Of them. And Natalie says, Laura Russell sells a carnivore style toothpaste.
Interesting.
So speaking of Laura's, you wanted to talk about your Laura Spath thing.
Oh, well, I was going to bring it up because in addition,
that's a great segue.
Yes, it was. Thank you, Natalie. So in addition to watching a lot of Dr. Boz, I did watch the Dr. Barry interview with Laura Spath. And Laura Spath made my list of videos for newbies or carnivore curious, keto curious. And I realized that she talks about her parents divorcing, and they went from eating more of a whole food family diet to processed foods once the divorce happened. And she was doing a lot of the cooking and, easy stuff for someone to make, a kid to make. And I realized, I was like, oh yeah, we talk about your childhood diet being horrible, which it was. But I had some time in mine where it was not great. And we sort of did that same thing when my parents were together. My parents split when I was 7, and we had sort of meat and potatoes for dinner. It was just how it was, period. You had meat, potatoes, veg. That was it. But once my parents divorced, we were on welfare for a couple years while my mom went back to school. And during that time, we were on the Women, Infants, and Children's program and food stamps and all sorts of things. And the food that we were given at that, or the food that that our money went to, what's it called? I don't know. The food that they directed us toward that our money would pay for was pretty bad. Now, this would have been the late 70s, maybe into early, let me think. I got to do math. Late 70s. Yeah. And so I remember Kix cereal was what was on the list for breakfast
Well,
type things.
that's kid tested, mother approved.
It's and now it didn't have sugar really or much, but yeah, Kix was a part of it. Velveeta cheese, so not a grain, but it's a highly processed cheese was a big part of it. And there was a lot of, my mom had her welfare casserole, which made things stretch pretty well. So we would buy the generic macaroni and cheese. And in that time, it was the white box with the black letter generic. And she'd buy cream of mushroom soup and ground beef. And so that we would eat a few times a week because it would stretch out quite a bit for a very low price. Because I was always the one who had to keep track of how much the cart was costing. But point being, the food was not good. I was also on the hot lunch program, which at that time was like ham on a bun was one of the meals. There was a chop suey with rice and cream turkey with potatoes. Not horrible, but all very highly processed. And there was always a dessert. There was always a dessert in the hot lunch program, of course. So I don't know that hot lunch program's any better now. I think there's a Lunchables and things. But point being, it was really a high carb, pretty highly processed diet at that time. Oh, and I've mentioned this too. I did not like milk. And of course, we were told you've got to give your kids milk. We've got to have the calcium. You've got to give them milk. So I would have, this was not a welfare staple, by the way, but I would have chocolate milk so that I could get my calcium and my minerals from my milk. But mine was always dosed with a heavy amount of sugar.
Yeah, because it was quick.
Yeah. So the Kix, I would also put chocolate milk in my Kix cereal, turning them sort of into a pseudo Cocoa Puff type thing. So yeah, so that was just interesting to me to hear her story. And I did a lot of the cooking too. I started cooking at a really young age because once my mom finished school, she went to work. And so I would cook after school, and it was a lot of pasta. And I'm a pretty good cook, but lots of pasta, lots of rice, lots of tuna noodle casseroles, just noodle. And that changed. I mean, like I said, we did meat and potatoes sort of beforehand, which isn't great, but it's better than noodles on top of rice on top of noodles.
The idea when I was a kid that I would be forced to eat a steak terrified me. That we would end up going someplace and that's what they were going to put on my plate. I could not handle to see steak on a plate in front of me. And when I tried to eat it, I could not swallow it. Just the texture was impossible because I was completely habituated to eating very soft, wheat-based garbage.
And it's hard to say because we have letters from your mom when she was newly married in like the 50s where she was talking about her baking. So I don't know if things would have gone differently for you, but you were the fourth child of four. And your parents were working very actively in building their business. Yeah. And so I know that handing you the Cheese Whiz sandwich was really the easiest thing to do.
Yeah. And it was too big of a fight to get me to eat anything else anyway. Yeah. But they wouldn't have tried to feed me anything that was actually healthy.
But that's the part where if you go back to the early marriage, I'm not sure it would have been any different.
So I don't really know what the point is other than that we just grew up with toxic food and not the proper human diet.
Well, yeah, that really is.
And so here we are in our 50s and you have your blood sugar issue and I've got my triglyceride issues and we're frustrated that maybe it's not being totally fixed in 2 years. And it took us all of this time to get so dysregulated. And, maybe it's about having a little more patience. I have none. I don't, even now, knowing this, I have no patience. I want all of the good results and no waiting.
Now, that all said, the things that are bothering us still the triglycerides. I mean, that's important. I don't want to, these are important things, but the benefits we've seen from our ability to move through our day-to-day life have been tremendous. So I never want to lose sight of what this way of eating has done for the both of us as far as our apparent health, our energy, our mood, and our ability to just get through the day, not get through the day, to thrive in our day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, Curtis.
Hi,
Hope
Curtis.
the weather's nice and fall-like in Michigan. Trudy, I grew up on Cheese Whiz sandwiches. Well, my Cheese Whiz sandwich was white bread with Cheese Whiz on one slice and Miracle Whip on the other.
Mm-hmm.
And I ate it every single day. We never got Cheese Whiz. It was above our mom's food budget. She was and still is as cheap as possible cook. Yep.
Which reminds me of the Laura Spath video, because she gets asked about the cost of carnivore. And I think we all do when you shift to meat. And she said, you cannot look at one shopping trip. Yes, your shopping trip is going to be more. You need to look at a larger span of time with your food, because you stop buying the Starbucks and you stop buying the Cheese Whiz, and the little things you cut out actually add up to quite a bit. So she said, you've got to take it more of a weekly or a monthly basis, that you're going to probably see it be equal to or less than the standard American diet. And of course, when you take into account the other costs of health issues, medications, supplements, doctor's visits, etc., we usually end up ahead doing carnivore.
How much were those Aldi steaks I just ate? They were really good.
I don't remember.
They were pretty big too.
Yeah.
Black Angus, pretty thick.
Yep.
Very tasty.
I keep checking my texts. We have window hangings being hung at some point today.
Yeah.
So I need to keep checking to see if they're letting me know they're on their way.
So when I say the house tour isn't happening soon, it's because the house is not ready to be toured. I think we've gotten through our list.
We have. And it's been nearly an hour.
Yeah. So it's probably time to wrap
We're
up.
kind of right on it. Yeah.
So if you haven't already, make sure you give us a like, unless you disliked this video, and then you can try to find the thumbs down. That works just as well. If you're watching this on replay, leave a comment on any one of these topics. We're happy to learn more.
Mm-hmm.
If there's something you'd like to see us talk about in a future video, always leave that comment. We are always on the hunt for new ideas, things to discuss and things to explore. We've done a few little kind of forays into some cooking stuff, but kind of mixed results on that.
As far as the videos.
Yeah.
The videos get mixed results.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I have to say, it is a weird time of year and a weird season to be producing videos when we're competing with massive news stories. And so that is always at play. And I'm very eager to get past November.
So we really do appreciate your interaction. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate you watching. And we so appreciate any interaction you do that really does help the channel and help the video, especially during this time.
Yeah. And we are excited. We're reaching people. We do get communications. We know we're reaching people, and people are changing their lives for the better. And that makes us very, very happy.
Yeah.
All right. We are going to head on out of here, and we will see you Sunday with a new pre-recorded video on some topic or other.
Bye-bye, everyone.